And welcome back, and it is the 19th of April for higher plus 5 a day. And let's just go straight to the first question. So the first one says rearrange to make W the subjects. Now what's notable here is there is two W's. We have to use the expand and collect and factorize method. So in other words, multiply everything by W first, which is going to give me YX, not YX, YW. YW equals 7x minus 7W. Collect all my W's on the left hand side, which is WY plus 7W equals 7x. Factorize out the W, i.e. the thing that I want, which is y plus 7 equals 7x, which means that W is equal to 7x divided by y plus 7. That sort of question comes up quite a bit. There's a general technique, I don't want to call it steps to learn, but there's a general technique that once you've done it a few times, you'll be okay with that. Next question. Right, so next question looks like a group frequency chart. The weights of some rugby players are recorded in the table. There we go. Find the median. Oh, here we go. Find the median by using linear interpolation. So first thing I'm going to do is add these up. So 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 15 plus 18 plus 7 is 100. Good, nice number. And I want the 50th person because half of 100 is 50, which means I need cumulative frequency. So this is between 0 and 10. The next one is between 10 and 30, in other words, 10 plus the 20 that's in the second thing. The next one is between 30 and 60, so 30 plus 30 is 60, which means the 50th person is in here. Now, linear interpolation. I want the 50th person where I'm starting from the 30th, in other words, 20 along. There are 30 in the category. The category itself is 4 long. The difference between these two numbers here is 4. And then I need to add on the initial value, which is 68. Calculator out, and that gives me 70, well, it says 0.6666, but let's call it 70.7 kilograms. Next question. Two players are chosen at random. Calculate the probability that they are both over 80 kilos. So 80 kilos means it's these 7 players here. So the first one is 7 over 100. In other words, 7 to choose from 100 players. The second one, because it's a conditional question, there are 6 players left over 80. There are 99 players left to choose from. Multiply these numbers together and you get, well, it's going to cancel down, isn't it? So I get 7 over 1650, which is approximately, that by the way would be perfectly suitable, 0.0042424242. Next question. Find the set of values for which both of these are true. Oh, I like these questions. Now the first one's a quadratic inequality, which I can factorize down to x minus 6, x plus 6 is greater than 0. So in other words, here's a quadratic, that's 6, that's minus 6. So my answers here are x is greater than 6 or x is less than minus 6. Which means my critical values, well, let's write some with some space, that's 6 and 6. Another quadratic inequality, so this one factorizes down to x plus 7, x minus 3, which means my critical values are minus 7 and 3. I'm going to do it up here so I'm not squeezing it in too much. So this looks like this. My values are minus 7 and 3. I want these values here. So in other words, x is going to be greater than 3, critical value of 3. Or x is going to be less than minus 7, so critical value minus 7. Now, let's put all this in one chart. The first bit tells me that I want all values that are greater than 6 or all values that are less than 6. The second part tells me that I want all values that are greater than 3 or all values that are less than minus 7. And what I care about is where both of these things are true at the same time, because remember this is an AND, so they both need to be true. So the answer to my question is going to be all values that are less than minus 7 or all values that are greater than 6. Good question. Next question. The line L is a tangent to the circle x squared plus y squared equals 90 at the point P. P is the point here. The line crosses the x-axis of the point. Work out the area of a triangle. Right, okay, here we go. Rough sketch, just so we know what we're doing. So I've got my circle. I've got the point 39, which is here. It doesn't really matter exactly where it is. I've got a tangent, which does this. Now I know my circle is centre 0, so therefore it's going to look something like this. Area of OPQ, so it's this angle here. Now, key thing about this. This is a right angle triangle, isn't it? Because it's a tangent, so it meets the radius at a right angle. So if I can work out the length of the radius, I could do that, or could do the height. Actually, no, there's two ways of doing this. Sorry. I could either do it by the length of the radius and this length here. I think an easier way is actually, I could just do a height, because I can work out the height, because I know it's 9 times the length of this base here. That's what I'm going to do. So I switched my method halfway through, just because it looked a bit easier. Let's start by working out the equation of the tangent. So the gradient of the radius, a pretty standard thing, we've done this a few times now, is going to be 9 over 3, which is 3. Which means the gradient of the tangent is going to be minus a third, which means the equation of my tangent is y is equal to minus a third x plus c, where I'm going to use the point 39. So therefore 9 is equal to minus a third times 3, which is minus 1 plus c, which means that c is equal to 10. So the equation, let's slow down a second, the equation of my tangent is minus a third x plus 10. And I want to know what value that I cross the x-axis. So therefore I'm going to let y equal to 0, which means that minus a third x is equal to 10, because my minuses cancel, which means that x is equal to 30. Again, let's think about what we've got. I've got a triangle whereby that's 30, that's 0. So therefore my base, which is this value here, is 30. I know my height is 9 because this point here is 39. So therefore the area of my triangle is going to be half times 30 times 9, which is going to be equal to 135 units squared. Good question. I like that question. Nice sort of problem-y, not too difficult question. As ever, let me know how it went for you. Today, the mix of good questions this month just continues, doesn't it? So some really different questions coming through. Let me know how it went for you. Do like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.